thanks for joining us on another episode of Cannamazoo Smokers Lounge. Today we are joined by Jake from Midnight Roots, the CEO founder. So an awesome guest to have on for us, super knowledgeable. He's going to take us on a serious little walk down his operation at Midnight Roots. And our buddy David from Absurd Experience, and he's got another gravity here. He's got a gravity bong for us today. So why don't you walk us down what the gravity bong is all about, man?
Yeah, perfect. So great seeing everybody. It was nice meeting you, Jake.
Yes, nice to meet you.
I can't wait to hear about all these great things we have on the table today. So what I have for everybody here at home today is the Student Glass Gravity Hookah. What this is a really awesome device that really allows for a contactless experience. I think it works a little bit better if you do put it up to your lips, so I have another little device that we'll get to as well. But the way this works is that you will light your flower up here. As it's burning, we flip this glass so that water uses gravity to then pull that smoke into this globe. We get that nice and filled with a good cloud of smoke, and then we remove this part, flip it, and then the same gravity mechanism will put the smoke out through the hose that we have here. Really awesome device. As always with any Absurd experience, I use a great accessories to go with it. I have here the tar cutter. This is a really awesome device. This is like the last ash catcher you'll ever need. It's filled with coconut carbon, so it takes all that burn out of your hit, but it leaves all of the cannabis and all of the great effects that you'll get, and a lot of the great terpene flavor as well. Inside there, we already have some. What is this again, Declan? What do we have here?
So this is the banana punch we got.
This is the banana punch. We already have this bowl filled up with some banana punch that you can get at Cannamazoo. Awesome, delicious strain. You got any comments on it, Declan?
Yeah, just a very strong, pronounced banana flavor to it. Like Jake noticed earlier, it's a really, really sweet little note to it as well. So really lovely little toke, nice 50-50 split, hybrid-wise. So yeah, really fun little toke here.
Awesome. And yes, we have that filled in the bowls from the Bowls Company, and that's a really awesome magnetic piece that you can split right in half, clip it right back for easy cleaning, ash it, and then put it right back together. It's also made of aluminum. There's no way that you're going to be able to break this piece. It will be the last bowl piece that you'll ever have to buy for your water bong. It's really amazing. And again, we always have it ground up with a Hoy grinder. This is an awesome magnetic grinder that doesn't tear apart your flour. Instead, it shreds it with a 5-blade cutting system, and you can even customize how fine you would like your flour cut. I always have it on the fine setting. I think that leads to a nice, more even burn, nice, more smooth burn throughout the bowl. But some people prefer a chunkier flour in their bowl. To each their own. They have other.
I was going to say.
What was that?
For packing cones from the gutters, you might want a little chunkier.
Right, exactly. So great adaptability and personalization with this piece, and that's why I really enjoy using it. And it's just really fun to spin around when you're using it. It just flies right like that. So I love it. So you guys,
It's a little bit of a fidget spinner right there.
it is. No, I love it. Like somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I want to spin it." Well, that's the child in me. I know it. But are you gentlemen ready to have this ready to roll?
Light it up, brother.
Awesome. Oh, last thing I want to mention is that for the safety of everybody, I am using, these are from Weed Gits. These are little silicone mouth pieces. Originally, these are intended to be used in a little hand pipe. So they have them all the way down to sizes for joints, then to blunts, and this is the hand pipe size, and then they have one that's I think even a little bit larger, so in case you have maybe a huge steamroll or something like that.
Sure.
Ways to keep this just safe is all. So,
Right up.
all right.
Now, did you get the other ones from Weed Gits as well?
Which ones? The
ones we were using with the other bong.
No,
With the
those
Yankee
are
bong.
from a different
company.
Different
altogether?
company, and
Okay.
those were.
You just have a knack for finding
I
a
just-
sterile way to smoke it.
I try, you know. My healthcare background gives me that sense of like, what's the best, cleanest way to do this?
No,
Like,
he is a real doctor, folks. He is a real doctor.
I have a PharmD. So thank you, Fair State. Woo! Go Bulldogs.
There you go.
So I am going to this lid here.
That's fine.
Oops, sorry about
That's
that.
my bad. That's my bad.
Put that up there. Let's see how it goes.
See if I can turn it a couple times here.
I say usually you want to get it nice and roll.
Yeah,
You can use
yeah,
a torch.
That's what I was saying here.
You gotta crank that thing.
There we go.
Now it's getting dangerous.
All right, who wants to?
Yeah.
I like the little filter too. That's cool. Never seen the filter on the bowl before.
Makes it super smooth.
Let me
Speaking.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Now it's thick. Woo! Look at that. That's what a doctor's ordered. That thing is crazy. You guys are scaring me now.
One. Here, I'm gonna fill it up and then let's just
Yeah,
flip
now you
hand it right over to him, and we're gonna flip it right
That's all
for
you
you,
do.
Jake. You ready?
Now I get that.
Yep. Pretty smooth, right?
That's nice.
Have you ever messed with one of these tar cutters before?
That's cool.
Have you ever messed with one of these tar cutters at all before?
No, I've never seen one.
So this tar cutter is amazing, man. It makes that shit so clean.
Yeah,
It
that's-
blows my mind. Yeah.
That's super cool. It's
No.
like it's like an inline chromatography filter or something.
I've seen some
Super cool.
I've seen some for like shower heads that kind of have the similar process and
Yeah,
everything.
I have one actually.
There you go. Does it make your skin soft? Do you feel better in the morning?
Yeah, I have well water, so it's still pretty shitty.
It's just balancing it out for you.
It just kind of makes it a little softer. My scalp's not falling right off
Right.
instantly. It's just
Now we're gonna get this loaded up, and if you want to try this, Declan, technically you don't have to use this mouthpiece. We can try it out. We'll get it nice and filled the chamber here. But once we get it nice,
That might be cash too.
might be. We can always fill another bowl.
I don't know. We're gonna have to use my guards too. So
That's true. But just wanted to give this a show off. This is we're getting a pull
this
here.
is sweet. I've been wanting to see one of these for a while.
Wanted to try it?
Yeah,
You
I
want me
am.
to get it?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's the way to.
Oh yeah,
It's clean.
you can clean.
It's
Mhm.
filtered. It tastes good.
Oh, it's filtered multiple times. This coconut carbon
Oh,
filter.
oh yeah. You
I love it. This, like I said, Declan, you guys, you just hinted it. This is using the coconut carbon, and carbon is just a really amazing substance. A lot of times we're using it as a filter. It is just absorbs almost everything. That's just a little pharmacy fun fact. So what would that be? A PF? Pharmacy fact on the FF, but that's a little
Here,
fun.
pharmacy back corner right here.
Yeah, a little F, a little fun, but
Pharmacy joke.
yeah. Life on the farm, PH. That was always my joke.
Yeah,
but-
there you go.
Ooh, oh yeah, I know I have bad humor. I know. But again, this is the student glass. It's quite expensive. It's one of my favorite things to bring to parties for the Absurd Experience, because people always just kind of say like it's just fun to watch it, even if you're not smoking it, just to watch the water go up and down in the bubbles. A lot of people say that, I saw a celebrity a couple years ago use one that looked similar to it. This is their third version of it. And because it is so expensive, I just really enjoy giving people the experience to use it, because not everybody's going to go out and want to spend the several $100s that it costs. So that's why Absurd Experience is such a great time for anybody who wants it. Please give us a look at absurdexperience.com. That's where you can book us and try this student glass. Always giving out discounts. Give us a follow on Absurd Experience on both Facebook and Instagram. We always are pushing out codes for discounts to book an Absurd Experience. But another part of the Absurd Experience, because I know I always get thirsty, I've prepared for us tonight some cream sodas to go with the other part of our evening. I know we'll get to, but I just wanted to make sure everybody starts getting a drink here for themselves. But yes,
His drinks
Absurd
are always
offers.
fantastic. Really, like he did a mock mojito initially. He's done a butter beer for us.
Yes.
All phenomenal.
I'm looking forward to this.
So these are all drinks with no alcohol. I
Looks like a
always
good time to
tell
me.
people
Oh, yeah.
that once we're at your home, that it is your drink. Add to it whatever you will. I know that a lot of people, I'll be interested to hear what you say, Declan, because I know you've mentioned in the past what you think would pair well with some of the mocktails that we've had
What
on
is
the
this
show.
again?
So this is a cream soda.
Cream soda.
This is a craft cream soda that
Oh,
I'm
dang.
curious to hear what you say.
dang. That's smooth.
Oh yeah.
Get a couple more glasses here filled for our awesome people behind the camera.
Cream soda.
Thank you for being
I
here
didn't
with us
know.
tonight.
What would you pair with
Company.
that, alcohol-wise?
You know, when I think cream soda, I think like the clear stuff that you get from like, one of the other brands or something, right?
Mhm.
This is more like almost like a mocktail drink, right? Like a
Exactly.
seltzer,
Mm-hmm. That's what it really is.
white Russian almost, or something like that. You know.
See, there you go.
There's your recommendation, folks.
Did you do
Because
this
White
for
Russian.
me? Did you do
Kinda
this for
like
me,
a-
David?
yeah.
Because I said White Russian.
Bubbly
It's
White
like one of the
Russian.
few drinks I know how to make the last time.
I think it may have been a subconscious thing, maybe,
appreciate
but
that.
I always know it's delicious. And once I knew that we would be making some s'mores with the Midnight Roots bars, I was like, oh, cream soda. It's kind of like a milk, cookies, milk and s'mores.
Did you ever
That's an
have?
idea.
Did you ever have any bartending experience before, like any of the pharmacy stuff or anything like that?
I never did actually. I just had a lot of friends. Well, again, shout out to Big Rapids. There's not a lot to do up there. You're like an hour anywhere from like any other civilization. And this was before full legalization, so I mean, there was just a lot of drinking in Big Rapids, just point blank. And so
Yeah.
you learn the tricks of the trade, what tastes good, and then
Sure.
do some research. And then I'd like to think it's a throwback to the callback of my profession, where it's just like in the early days of pharmacies, you would come in and they would compound some crazy drug made with
You're
like
doing a little
with
alchemy.
cannabis
You're
and
doing a
all
little
this, and
alchemy with
then
it.
yeah, exactly. They would always
Cool.
they would have the original sodas. I think Verner's was made by a pharmacist. It was invented by a pharmacist
Oh,
in
shit.
Michigan.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Dr.
it's
Pepper
in my-
was,
it's
was
my-
a medicine first, right?
exactly.
Dr. Pepperton.
You don't want to talk about what was in Coca-Cola, right?
Right, no, we don't want to talk about Coca-Cola, but Dr. Pepper is his PhD in flavorology.
It's like the
Right.
original con man. The original con man. You know, helped you shoot. It was
True.
snake oil.
Yeah, elixirs.
Snake
There
oil,
were
yeah.
more elixirs, right? You added them to the soda, right?
Mhm.
It was a little different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Now
little
you get
bit.
it. Now you get it mixed up.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
high fructose corn syrup.
Actually,
But this
no.
is the real stuff, though. This is like
True.
stuff you want at a milkshake parlor or something like that.
That's kind of what I'm trying to exactly give. And it's funny that you mentioned like the high fructose corn syrup. None of those, I don't use any of that jazz. These are made with actually sugar-free syrups, so people who are diabetic or may have some issues with that type of sugar can have these. This one would not be for anybody who's dairy-free. This is like it's cream soda.
It's got
Sorry,
some
if
cream in
you have a dairy intolerance, probably not the drink for you. But there's plenty of other mocktails, like you said. We have the butterbeer, the mojito, the Berry Mary cocktail, which is just like lemons and berries. I have a peach ginger mint mocktail as well. The seasonal flavor right now for anybody who's interested in booking is a cold hot chocolate, which I know sounds kind of counterintuitive, but it's a hazelnut cold. It would basically be this without carbonation, and it would kind of be like a cold chocolate milk.
Okay.
So I make a nice hot cocoa, chill it, and then add some hazelnut syrups to it, and so you have this delicious hazelnutty, cocoa-y, kind of almost like a milkshake.
Okay.
So it's really, really flavorful, and I just thought, why not put a twist on hot cocoa?
Right on.
So
Right on. I
it's
like
a
the
chili
idea of
one,
having a
but-
seasonal drink there for the menu
Yeah,
there.
cheers.
Yeah, cheers, gentlemen. Cheers.
So, do we want to try to pack another one, get this filled, or?
I am
You
gonna
know-
light up this mic right here
All right,
because
that sounds good because I know.
I have been peaked here.
Yes, by all means.
Yes,
I have
yes.
no problem switching the conversation to something else. We can just leave it there.
Those things are super cool. I appreciate you bringing that.
Oh yeah,
Great, thank you.
Very fun.
All the fun things. I've never seen that bowl too that breaks apart in half like that. That's kind of slick.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
slick. Oh yeah, he's got all these.
Just
got all
check
the
this
nifty
out.
gadgets,
Even
man.
if so that makes it really easy
Yeah,
to catch
look at
too.
that.
Oh yeah.
Cash is right out.
Oh yeah,
Is
and
it
nice
stuck
clean.
together?
It's magnets.
It's
Oh,
magnets.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then slip it right back and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again one of the great innovations of not my innovation, but one of the cool innovations I have found that I get to bring into people's home and get them introduced to. Because this is of all the things that I do show with Absurd, the bowls piece is probably one of the most affordable. That anybody who after they had the Absurd experience was like, oh man, I want something for that for my home so I can keep using that consistently. These are very cheap. I don't want to give any specific price ranges with the type of show that we are. I don't want to be the reason that we get in trouble, so I'm not gonna mention any specific pricing, but very affordable, really great. But then the tar cutter, if people want to pay a little bit more, it's a little pricey, definitely affordable, but it will change your smoking experience. I think Declan, everybody who we've had on has really mentioned that this has made it really smooth. It's a much smoother experience.
I mean, the tar cutter has consistently been the most impressive thing that I think you brought on. Like, with all the fun pieces and everything, I would still, put my money behind the tar cutter.
Tar cutter, because just the use behind it. So,
oh, absolutely.
And again, I love talking about this stuff when I do have an absurd experience. Usually, it's a 90-minute experience. The first half an hour will just typically be anybody asking questions and me going through the device and with the absurd experiences I've done, a lot of people said that first half an hour was kind of the most fun because you learned about all these new cool gadgets, and it's like, oh man, what am I going to get for my friend? I was like, oh, I know my cousin Billy. He's always breaking balls when he's cleaning them. I know I'm going to get one of these for him for his next birthday or something. So I love that aspect of it.
Oh, absolutely.
So again, absurdexperience.com, Absurd Experience on FaceTime and Instagram. Please give me a follow. But again, I too have my curiosity piqued by these cigars because I feel like I'll look really cool.
Oh yeah.
Smoking it.
Oh yeah. No, they're great.
So I'm going to get this out of our way, and we will go on.
All right, so we'll move our conversation over to Jake here from Midnight Roots. He is the founder CEO, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Right on, man. Right on. We'll talk about a little about the inspiration to finally start it and everything like that, and kind of the grassroots of the Midnight Roots.
The story of Midnight Roots, I guess, is my dad was a hash oil smuggler back in like '71,
Wow.
and so I have a lot of experience before. I know it before the caregivers, and when it was real illegal, when you couldn't pull out a hydro store without your license plate getting photography, photos and shit like that. So my dad was, back in the day, he went and learned how to make hash oil literally with the mujahideen in Afghanistan.
Wow. Wow.
So he has a lot of history with that, and kind of traded them LSD for hash oil knowledge, and kind of developed a little smuggling thing.
So did he have a decent? He must have been very established in Michigan proper and everything like that, or was he focused like elsewhere in the States and everything?
No, so he was like not a big time guy.
No.
He was like more of like a spiritual adventurist.
Right on.
That kind of went over to this thing called the Kabul Trail, where there's a lot of like famous, Jerry Garcia and all, Bob Dylan all went on these things. There's a book about the Kabul Trail. But he was in there way before that. Those books were like 75, 76. He was there at 71. So it was still very new. So they didn't know what was going on. And he kind of just went over there, and they thought he was some big hash smuggler because he had hair down to his butt and had no shirt on and stuff. So they invited him up. And honestly, they had never seen LSD. So they invited him up to this guru who made hash oil. And he was like, hey, try this stuff. And it kind of blew their mind.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, because LSD is awesome.
Yeah, and he kind of, the guru, gave him a foot massage, which is like the biggest story of his life. Right?
Wow.
He always talks about that, and not many people realize what, how big of a deal that is to have a guru of the mujahideen in Afghanistan who, like, people every morning, he would wake up and there'd be like lines down this hill for this guy to just touch them every day and bless people and stuff. And
right
so
on.
he got in with this guy.
Yeah, the washing of feet in so many cultures can be a very sacred and kind of intimate.
Exactly.
Kind of a very intimate dance amongst a lot of cultures. I mean, you think of I'm not necessarily deeply religious myself, but even the biblical story of the washing of feet. So that is the most interesting story I've heard in a really long time, because I was just trying to get past the fact that you said he basically traded his tuition to learn how to make good hash oil was LSD. That was his.
Yeah, he didn't know what was
tuition.
going on, really. Like, a guy pulled up in a limo while he was in a bazaar, thought he was some big smuggler, invited him in, and they took him up to this hills, and there was 7 people with him, and there's all documented. A bunch of them are still alive. A lot of them have died. But he went up there, and he was the only one with the balls to kind of go with them. So he went up, and I mean, this is pretty
that would be
interesting.
yeah.
I don't know if I would do it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I would.
Heck,
He couldn't speak the language, and there was one translator, and he was out of his mind too at that point,
I'm
walking
sure.
through Afghanistan. And so they went up, and they gave him a bunch of hash in front of him, and they're like, "What do you want?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll take a little bit of each one." And they're like, "What do you mean, pounds and stuff?" And he's like, "No, I'll take a couple grams." You're like 3 grams of this one. They're like, "What?" They're like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "What are you doing here? You're not some big smuggler." And he's like, "No, I got this." And they're like, "What is that?" And next thing you know, they're massaging his feet and teaching him how to make the hash and teaching. And he hung up there for about 7 days and learned a bunch of different things about hash oil, which wasn't a thing at the time. Hash was the thing. So to take the hash, which they beat the things on like the drums and get the keef, and normally we'd make it to rosin now, right? Or we'd take the keef and do something else, but they would take it and mix it with ethanol that they would get from the gas station and put it on the roof, and the heat of it would melt and burn it off. And kind of what people were doing in 2007 with open blasting, and when people were learning how to kind of do things, there was kind of that wave of people learning how to do things on the black market, and and that's what they were doing. So it's kind of like a golden brown tar that was kind of like that. It was melted off, and they would scrape up and put it in little jars, and wipe it on their
whatever they were smoking,
wipe it on their papers and stuff like that, or smoke it off a pin or something.
So just speaking of smoking real quick, because that story is insane, and I really want to smoke this along with this story and everything. So to do a little promotion
not
for you.
go off forever.
Yeah, no. We have the Jean Carlos right here, the Mygars.
So Jean Carlos is a 4th gen Nicaraguan cigar maker son, who basically his dad died of lung cancer. So he's like, I'm gonna take my cigar knowledge and apply it to the cannabis cigar. So he was the first one that actually created the cannagar. I mean, he is credited for creating the cannagar. The first time where you take like a mold, a pressed mold, right, and then put it on a skewer and have the hole in it,
Yes.
and wrap the wet leaves around it.
And for anybody curious about this process, he actually does a video on their website where you can check this out. I checked it out earlier and everything.
There's
Very
tons of
interesting little
videos,
video.
and they'll teach you how to do it. But he has a different process where he actually makes a shell so that you can pack it with your own flour, rather than making a cannagar, which actually, if you ever smoked one, it gets really hot down that center skewer. So there's like a negative about it, right? And we don't like that. So the shell allows you to pack it up and make an actual like this. It doesn't have a hot thing down the center. There's a filter at the end of it. Even in the cannagars, there's filters in the end of it. This has like a little corn husk filter in it with a wooden mouthpiece, right?
I was about to say, this mouthpiece is really intricate and really beautiful in and of itself.
It's got a rose petal right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is right there,
Yeah.
and that's just for your lips, and like almost like a soft thing for your lips. Or
This
what's
one's
the
more
actual-
decorative, right?
More decorative,
You know,
okay.
we used to put them around the edge, and we do have them that way. We make them in any way you ever wanted to make them. From little Mary Slims, which are like the 1 grams, to the 3 grams. These would be considered like the original.
And these are 3 grams right
These
here.
are about 3 grams.
Right
And then we
on.
have like a 7. We have a big hitter that's like a 14 grammer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've made big ones ouncer, but usually the 3 and the 1 grams are the ones that are on the legal market in Michigan right now that you can get. We also have collabs, like this one's a collab with the heavyweight heads. So, you know, we're going to be moving on up into some bigger shells pretty soon. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity with this Michigan market and what's going on here. There's a lot of smokers in Michigan.
Oh, it's booming, man.
And
It's
a lot of
booming.
people like the cigar experience, you know, to be able to like light it with a lighter and you know, enjoy it the whole time. I mean, this will last a good hour.
Oh, sit on it for a while. Absolutely, absolutely.
I was about to ask. So, if somebody says, you know, I've got one of these, but maybe I don't want to consume it in one sitting, does it have a pretty decent ability, like other cigars, where you can kind of maybe put it out
Oh, of
and
course.
save it for a little bit later? 'Cause-
Yeah, of course. And we do make cigar cutters if you want to be that fancy, where you can cut off the ash like they do in the cigar culture. Because that's what they do in cigar culture. You cut the ash off and you enjoy it over multiple periods without the hard ash on the end of it. These, there's a bunch of specialness about these. These ones, let's see, you guys took the other, so we'll take this one out.
And the other question I was going to ask is, obviously I'm sure these are sold pre-filled, collabs. Is there any market in the idea of selling just the shells?
Yeah, we do
people?
sell just the shells.
You do?
Yeah, that's
She
what
sells?
she sells.
Yeah.
Sally sells them. We're going to, we use these, and that's kind of the next market, is to sell them on the legal market. And we do offer now, we don't have, we used to have an exclusivity with Choice Labs, who puts out our Magars and has for the last 3 years in the Michigan market. We appreciate them. We also now have the ability, though, to make shells for other people. Like right now, in Planet 13 is a big dispensary out of Las Vegas and California.
Very cool.
And they're huge. They're the biggest dispensary out there. They are doing, they branded their trendy super blunts. And we have a couple of other brands that use just the shells, so that is available right now.
Very cool.
We are more into the shell market. Yes, we'd like to pack it because Midnight Roots is a flower company, right? I do genetics, and we do, other people like Heavyweight Heads or Light Sky Farms, some of these other MI Grown, some of the other people we've worked with before that do branding. We'd want, obviously, the best flour we can in here.
Right on.
Just
Yeah.
like if you're making a cigar, you want the best tobacco in it, right? So. And it's a longer experience. It's just more of a personal experience. Now with everything that's going on, you can literally sit with a 3-grammer forever, and everybody can chill. Especially if you go to a smoker's lounge or something, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
That's
that's the end goal
this
right
is
there, man.
ideal.
Oh yeah, that's the end goal right there, man.
Because I don't know, my own self, I'm thinking selfishly down the line how perfect it would be once, because I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast, part of my ambitions is to try to have Absurd be a brick and mortar eventually, not just a home rental company where you can get these awesome devices brought to you. I want people to be able to come to the storefront, and I think, I don't know what, because it's not filled with anything, if I could get it skirted around that, because these would be awesome to have.
And you can do anything. You can infuse the best way we found is to infuse the flour inside it, right? Some of the other ways, people have put them in layers, right? Because you do pack them with a dowel rod type of thing.
Bless you.
Well, excuse me. Or people put the worm in the center of it, right?
Yeah.
Planet 13 does distillate on the outside of it and then rolls it in keef,
Oh.
kind of more like the tarantula styles, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of options you can do with it, obviously. THCA and flour is a nice option that really is insane.
THCA, I think, is the best route in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like liquid hash in them though. Just honestly, the only reason is because let's say you're going in layers, it kind of gets to it and burns, and then it'll kind of drip down it in the inside and cause a run. So honestly, the ones that we put out are all flour and keef. We'll take the keef and mix it in the flour and roll it in, and we found that's the best way to do it in my opinion.
Yeah, see, I recently tried to mess with it just by taking distillate and then just kind of heating up like a dab tool essentially, and just smoothing it out over the paper is kind of like putting out like butter on toast essentially. Yep. And that's been able to work pretty well for me as well.
They make paintbrushes. They make little paintbrushes you can use.
Well, and I found the brush to clean my clippers at home and everything like that for my face, and I thought that would be perfect. And I just couldn't get it going fast enough. I couldn't get it on there fast enough. It just kept drying, and I was like, oh no, I'm ruining this.
Yeah, I think most of the places I've seen melt a thing on a dish, and then you can end up just rolling it in like that and take it and rolling it like that. And then you throw it in the dust and throw it on the keef.
Yep. See, I don't have a little hot plate at home to do that.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
too scared I'd burn myself with it.
Don't tell the secrets. How do you make tarantula legs?
But yeah, so I'm curious, with your dad being so experienced and everything like that, did you grow up around grow ops and straight up in the scene like that?
He smoked a lot of weed.
I mean,
and a lot of people around him did. Most of the people around me did. He wasn't the best grower most of his life. He did a lot of other things. But he was around growers, yes, all the time, and most of his friends did. And And towards the end of his life, he got back into growing with me. So that's how kind of Midnight Roots started, was we got to kind of together and we used the kind of the history of them. So it was more a history of them. There's a little bit more of a story to where Midnight Roots comes from, but at the same time, that's the history of kind of what it is. It's multi-generational.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's that's an amazing story. I love it when families can come together, especially multi-generational, and share a similar passion and turn it into something like this. This is really awesome. I was going to ask you, would you think that this would be kind of a way to these? Because again, I'm really drawn in by these kind of cigars. Is this a way to potentially draw people from the cigar community and say, listen, there's an alternative? Because I know you mentioned that at the very beginning that was kind of the motivation, but do you think really in practice that this is kind of another way to draw people to?
I describe it as like, so there's a culture to cigars.
Okay.
Right? There's a culture in cannabis. And I think that the culture of cannabis is so new because we're just getting out of the PTSD generation and the generation like my father's generation who are still below. I mean, my dad died actually a couple years ago, but he couldn't believe what was happening. And if he saw how it was, you know, coming so quick to getting raided all the time, going to everybody, there's $1 million grow ops right down the street from his house, right? You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting how it's gone so far, but I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
No, it's all good. I think you're saying that you were bringing the point back that it's a culture-based thing, and that,
Yes.
that having these is a good way to kind of bridge the cultures.
Yeah, in tobacco culture, let's look at it like that,
Okay.
right? You got cigarettes, and that would be like a joint. Obviously, you got little pre-rolls, and then you got the people that want to sit down and enjoy this. That's exactly getting to what you're talking about. Is there's going to be smokers' lounge, there's cigar lounges. When people enjoy a cigar, they go out on the beach and enjoy it. They go out. It's sometimes it lasts 2 or 3 hours. I mean, cigars sometimes can be this big and stuff. It can be huge. A lot of times they don't even inhale the whole cigar. So it could get to the point where marijuana could be as cheap as $100 cigar, and you can smoke it all day, or you grow it and you can pack your own cigars and enjoy it if you have your own grow, because it is legal to grow in a lot of states and in Michigan, so everybody can grow 12 plants and pack their own shells legally. So you know, there's a culture in it. We're trying to bring a little bit more of a culture inside of the cannabis culture, and hoping that with cannabis lounges and that type of thing opening up, then it might go to there. Because sometimes you're at a cannabis lounge, if we were sitting here for 4 or 5 hours, I might smoke a couple more cigars, I'll be honest with you, you know? I mean, smoking 1 gram joints gets kind of small, you know? So you might want a 7 gram joint. There might be people that you walk up on and you want a 14 gram joint, you know? We're getting out of pandemic culture, but people might start sharing joints again pretty soon, you know? If people get, you know, get to where they feel safe around people, then it might happen to where before, a little while ago, these were a great thing to share and pass and stuff. So, you know what I mean? That was like a big selling point. Like it was a celebration piece, right? A communal thing too. So it was a little different, but.
And again, to plug one of the people, you know, you're talking
I was
about
thinking
sharing.
about that. We've talked about these things actually. We've talked about making something like this that would fit on it. So
Yes,
I saw it and I was like, that's something.
This and like this would be perfect. Like I said, this is the I think 1 inch or maybe 3/4 inch size, and that's just they have for the student glass because I think it fits that hose the best. But they have 2 sizes smaller than this, and I know one of those would probably fit this perfectly. And so I think if there's a will, there's a way for people to and going through in the future. I think there's definitely going to be a will and a way for people to share and do things safer.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Obviously, and hopefully we'll get back to a culture where we're all safe again. And we, you know.
True.
You know, so, but either way, these things are very special, basically, in comparison to like other cones that you're going to get on the market, like other hemp wraps that you're going to get on the market. In terms, we tend to take it a next level too. We remove the chlorophyll and the starches and the nutrients. That's our patent pending way too. That makes what he does. He brings, because in the tobacco market, they cure tobacco for sometimes as long as 15, 20 years before they roll it into the leaf. I mean, there's a lot that goes into making a cigar in terms of the wraps, and there's 6 or 7 layers. So even in these, the outside of this, you know, if we take the chlorophyll out, it does burn smoother. It burns it burns easier and stuff. So
I've noticed that because there was a part of me that was initially kind of afraid to deeply inhale into my lungs with a cigar, because normal cigar you really don't usually do that. So
I
I think
made that mistake so many times. I literally,
with a real cigar, with a tobacco cigar, you're like, let me hit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so once I finally kind of got over that mental issue, that mental hill, I was surprised at how smooth this cone burns. Yeah, this just the shell burns, because I was still afraid that I was going to end up coughing, because I usually don't smoke much rolled material.
Well, that speaks to the flower just as much as the wrap itself, right there.
True.
Yeah, we packed them pretty quick before we came here. We packed some shells here, like.
Yeah.
We packed four of these or so. My girlfriend did before we came. So there's a little technique to it. You're supposed to pack it, with some force, and if you pack it pretty well, you're not going to get any runs, and that does happen to be the way you pack it, and the density of the flower and stuff. All those things come into play in cigars and this, and in pre-rolls, how dry the weed is if you're using shake or bud, and we always want to use the bud and grind it up. When you do it, using the pre-ground bud and stuff is
it
something I usually don't recommend.
Is it important? Yeah, I was about to say, is it important to have really freshly ground bud, because it's a little bit more sticky at that point, because if it dries out too quickly, it's not going to really.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious.
And I'm curious, you say you do collabs, do you roll most of what you grow into the my guys?
So I try to find grows that will grow my genetics, my Midnight Roots genetics, and then I can use some of my own strains in it. I have a couple that do that. Right now I don't have anything going on the legal market, so I'm using like other farms that I like, that I respect, or caregivers coming up onto the legal market that were doing great things, and they're doing great things now coming in.
Right on. So you're still using caregivers and everything like that as well?
Well, no, not caregivers. Caregivers that are coming on the legal market, like for example, Heavyweight Heads or White Sky Farms, or some of these guys that have came on and they're, legacy caregiver brands. I try to look for that,
Okay.
I've known these guys longer. You know what I mean? It makes more sense to me than having somebody that is in this to make widgets and money. I mean, in my opinion, you've got to have had, that experience of being scared to smoke a joint before, or have your family,
chastise you a little bit.
Chastise you for something that now they're begging you to get, because they feel, they can't sleep without it and stuff like that. You're like, it's a little PTSD that goes with the war on drugs.
Yeah.
And
the stigma's still there.
yeah, it's obviously still federally illegal. So I mean, I don't even know how we're talking that it isn't. It's still Schedule 1. And we're still realistically dealing with that,
which is so wrong, because I mean, when a lot of people don't know the schedule system necessarily if they're not aware of it. Schedule 1 through 5, and that's usually marked on the level of addictability that it's supposed to have, and so they're trying to argue that a cannabis is just as addictive as heroin. Yeah. The reason I take issue with this as a pharmacist, and this is a true fact, you can look it up. There's a medication called Marinol or Dronabinol, and that is THC in a capsule. If you pull out the drug monograph, it is the molecule is THC, and they say it's for nausea and for chemotherapy patients. So the U.S. government, FDA, has acknowledged that there is medicinal benefit to cannabis, but somehow it's still like
there's a patent for the medicinal use of cannabis. There's a literal patent for it.
Yeah,
Marinol. It was made in 1976.
Who owns it?
But it's a United Federal patent that for some knowing for the medicinal use. I can't remember. I have to pull it up on my phone right now. But but either way, you know what I'm saying. It's very odd. It's weird and it's frustrating. And I believe that fight needs to still go on. There's still people in jail for this.
Oh, yeah.
So. Yeah, I totally agree on that. Just to close it out, it baffles me as a pharmacist, because how is this I would just dispense all these Norcos, which is Schedule 2, but then this would be federally Schedule 1. It just still blows my mind because I saw what Norco did to people's lives.
Well, so let's go on a different
Yes,
story.
no, something happier, something happier.
We were on the way over here early,
Back
and we were studying what you're talking about too, which is really weird. So even if you're talking about the THC and the marinol being illegal, we have endocannabinoid system in our body, and cannabinoids are produced in breast milk. So we produce cannabinoids that are illegal. So it's kind of interesting. So
Exactly.
in chocolate, there's the same type of things. What is it? Anandamine, and it's a thing that's produced in chocolate that produces a bliss-like state, which is considered to be like the same type of thing that you get from smoking cannabis, and they almost attribute it to it. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of my focus has been on chocolates. If we want to use it as a great segue, because that is the reason why I didn't go into gummies or carts or any of the other things, because I really do believe that chocolate, and I do love chocolate, and don't get me wrong, I love chocolate, but there is a benefit to eating chocolate and dark chocolate. I mean, people say that there's medical benefits to eating dark chocolate. It's funny to say that because we do have a sugar-free dark chocolate as well. So to try to get the sugar out of the chocolate as well, so it's an interesting product.
Yeah, you mentioned, because the other thing with the using THC with chocolate or cannabis with chocolate is that they both can have different terpenes associated with them, which will then go with what's called the entourage effect. So you're exactly right with it saying that depending on what terpenes in the chocolate with the terpene that's going to be used with that cannabis, going to mix together, and it's going to give you a whole different effect as if you were just supposed to have that cannabis by itself. So it's really, our bodies are amazing. The endocannabinoid system is fantastic. I really recommend more people learn about the system that is in their body. I have a question, just kind of off on a different tangent. Do you have a particular flavor that's your favorite, or that you're like really proud of? Because I know I've tried the key lime pie, and I think I love it. I just love it. It's amazing.
So I have all the flavors for you to try today too. But my favorite is the toasted coconut, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
It's the newest one. I'm a big coconut dark chocolate fan, and I do like dark chocolate rather than milk. I kind of lean toward it, so that's my lean-to. Cookies and cream is our best seller. You know, we have a s'mores that is just amazing. Speaking of s'mores too.
Oh yeah.
But we have everything from key lime to strawberry milkshake to orange to blueberry. We have 15 flavors right now, so we've been doing it a minute.
See, the one I've tried is that thin mint cookies. Is that it or something like? Yep, and that one's fantastic.
Obviously, we're trying to mimic a famous flavor there with that.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell.
So,
Swear to God.
speaking of which, have you had any issues with the flavor names as that come up with? Because I'm sure there's always these crackdowns. People don't want things to sound too alluring. The use.
We have more of a classy box.
Oh,
If you notice it, we try to make it as very plain, straightforward. Orange cream milk chocolate, key lime pie milk chocolate, s'mores milk chocolate. I've always led away from using the packaging that can lead towards minors, or the flavors showing out on it, and the cherries popping out and dripping with water and stuff.
And you really don't need to do anything too crazy for your packaging. It just seems like an extra expense. In all honesty, that's just doesn't even need to be taken.
I mean, they're handcrafted. They're made by hand every day. They're artisan bars made with the highest quality chocolate. We've made them now 12 years. Been on the legal market 4. So I've been doing these bars for a long time. There's some tried and tested flavors. Honestly, in my opinion, I eat them, and a lot of people I know eat them for sleep and for anxiety, and it helps.
I use them for travel.
Travel.
Oh yeah, that's when I went out west to Yellowstone. I threw a couple of these bars in the cooler, and that made it a very nice trip.
Yeah,
thank you.
Discreetly take it.
Exactly. So thank you for making my Yellowstone trip a wonderful experience. I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
I'm kind of curious because I know maybe it's just because I'm hungry.
I think it's time.
Is it
I
time
think
that we
it's
start
time.
making some s'mores?
I think it's about that time.
All right, perfect.
I think I need some more of this cream soda though.
dig in as well.
I'm gonna take this slot over here.
Am I supposed to come over and help you with this?
No, you can dig right in. I'm going to just grab a mallow, get roasted.
Alright, dude. See what's going on. I think I'm gonna go on the cookies and cream right here.
Well, that's probably a good idea to get your mallow,
Yeah, yeah.
get your gram.
I'm gonna get everything I need.
Not a bad idea with the flavored marshmallows.
Oh yeah.
I might have to do a key lime pie s'more.
Strawberry marshmallow there?
Strawberry.
Ooh, strawberry key lime pie, that does sound good.
That's, yeah, strawberry key lime pie.
Sit right there.
So one of the questions that we usually ask on this show is, do you have like a particular, because you told us your dad's story, do you have a particular story about cannabis or time you used cannabis that is funny or really, really is good for you that you're...
A funny story, I don't know, I hadn't thought about it, but I can tell you my first time using cannabis.
That's another one we usually ask. Everybody's first time is always an interesting story.
I took my parents' pipe that they weren't home. I was about 17 years old. I lived most of my life for martial arts and wrestling.
Wow,
And,
okay.
decided after I tore my ACL and my mom gave me some weed instead of the opiates they gave me, which made me really sick.
Yep.
So I started, I had tore my ACL, so it was pretty painful and I couldn't stand it. So they ended up, I used cannabis when I was about 17 at the end of my high school. It really wasn't legal and shit.
Right, there's probably a time where it's really...
But it stopped my stomach from going crazy because I couldn't use the narcos they wanted me to.
Mm-mm.
And honestly, at about 18, I just kept using it and helped me with a lot of things with anxiety and getting through life. I mean, I'm a recreational user too.
Right.
So I enjoy cannabis. It got me through college. It's got me to where I am, and I think the plant is it's almost as you could call it, the sacrament to some people.
Oh yeah.
It's
Changes their lives, for sure.
it can it can help out a lot of people.
I was 12 years old, man. I can't imagine what it would be like. And that's probably too young to start even doing it right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Well,
there's some studies that, again, they have done studies that the human brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25 years old. I wouldn't be a pharmacist if I didn't say. Put that small little plug in there, but to each their own. Everybody's endocannabinoid system and metabolism is also different, so no judgments here.
Well, the whole thing was, the first time, that's how they found out that I smoked it, was I took the pipe that was in, I hit it, because you don't get that high, you don't know how to hit it. I hit it so much that it was super cold outside. And I went outside and sat in the snow for about 5 minutes by myself, and my mom came home and was like, "Don't tell me you're high." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty high."
How'd she handle it?
She laughed because I was sitting in the snow, smoking a bowl. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Sitting in the snow?
Sitting in the
chilling?
snow is really interesting. I'll tell you that. It's really interesting. That's an interesting thing. I never saw you do that. I was a martial artist, a wrestler. Right? I didn't like smoking. I didn't like cigarettes. I didn't actually appreciate what my parents did, which was have a culture of cannabis around them. They lived the culture of cannabis, right? I didn't really appreciate it that much and respect it till I was 17, 18.
Still practice any of the martial arts?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a really amazing story. No, that's healthy though. I like to hear. I always appreciate a story where people are willing to say that I had a view, and then I had a growing experience, and then I was willing to change that worldview for the better. That's a really. I wish more people could do that. So I really enjoyed hearing that story. So thank you.
Yeah, you know, you gotta grow up. You gotta just kind of experience it, learn how it can benefit you. Some people it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't benefit everybody. I know some people that can't smoke marijuana, and it really affects them strangely.
Oh yeah, and there's some people who can get really paranoid, and I think it boils back down to why a lot of people can say I really enjoy marijuana, but there will still be people who say I can't use it for X, Y, Z reasons. It'll make me really nauseous, and it makes me whatever.
It's like penicillin.
Everybody's a little different.
Can save some people, cannot save some people.
Right? It's endearing to see people at least like trying it now and like seeing if it can be an alternative to a lot of different problems and everything, you know.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm just happy that people are willing to be much more open-minded. It's still really hard. Because I know there's times where you still run into people who will judge you for your cannabis use, even amongst family and friends for whatever reason they have. But I think a majority of people are at least willing to have the conversation now and be willing to learn more. And I'm glad, and I hope that momentum keeps growing, and hopefully goes nationwide eventually.
It's been growing a lot, and I think that it's gotten a lot in the last 10 years, and the next 10 years I think it will. I mean,
like exponentially, man. It's like
federally it has to do something, and I keep referring back to that, but it has to federally. We've got all these states, we're over the brink, we're at 48 states legal or medical. You know, I mean, how can you not have a federal?
I don't know. I think I should
heroin's
probably write
Schedule
it.
2, cocaine Schedule 2, marijuana, DMT, LSD is Schedule 1. It's actually rated higher than them because they have medicinal use. You know,
Well,
it's kind of strange, and it's just something that I hate to bring because it brings a weird aura, right? But there are people in jail still because of it, so we do have to address that.
I think it's important to address those things because if you don't,
Then we can get the consumption lounges.
Exactly.
And we can have a cigar culture of cannabis in the future, right? We can be pioneers, and you can get you can get those people to come in and experience it as a recreational drug, and then maybe they go home and use it to sleep. It's not like alcohol where you go out in recreation, you don't go home and drink some alcohol to sleep.
I don't think anybody's drank medicinal wine from a teaspoon since like 1925. So
But don't get me wrong, I know people that drink wine to go to sleep.
Do you have any like prediction, like when you think it might like actually like finally pass or anything?
Speculation, right?
Of
Jesus
course.
Christ, I didn't think it would get this far. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I thought we'd still be driving around. Hell, we still are. Some people are still getting put in jail for it. So
That's what's
we're
crazy.
far, but we're not. It's really relative to where you are and what's going on and how much money you have.
Yeah, that's a conversation I don't know if a lot of people are ready to have, but it's true. I think, unfortunately, it's something I'm doing a little bit of my own research into about the history of why cannabis was demonized in the first place. It has a lot to do with prejudice and demonizing of minorities in the early parts of the 20th century. And it's a really, because up to that point, a lot of times cannabis had been used medicinally. A lot of pharmacists, when there was a big trial and they were going to say, well, what are we going to do with cannabis? Are we going to make it illegal? And a lot of pharmacists, I think like 29 out of 30 said, no. Do not do that because there's really medicinal value to it. We don't want it to be illegal. And I think only like one pharmacist said something bad about it, and that was the only testimony that they put in the in their report. And so there's just a lot of really jaded history. A lot of people should do their research about it.
I always hear about it being the paper companies or something like that, outlawing hemp or something, and that in turn making
Harry Anslinger.
Yes!
He made a lot of lies.
Yep.
Said a lot of lies about a lot of minorities and jazz singers, and used it to kind of,
He used
Slavery
it to
was ending, and
yes, he
they were
demonized.
using it to demonize people. Same
was
thing
his
they're
name?
still doing in Harry Anslinger.
Harry Anslinger.
He
That's
was the guy that made a lot of lies, and he was the
Federal
what was
Bureau
it?
of Narcotics.
FBI,
Federal Bureau of Narcotics, and it was one of those things where it's, ooh, they're going to pull my federal funding. I need to find this a substance to criminalize, and unfortunately, the people that they were going to demonize were Latinx people, and so that's why, and that's a lot of the reason why it's still called marijuana in today's culture, is because they made this tie that no, it's not cannabis anymore that you're getting in your prescriptions from the pharmacy. It's marijuana, and it's coming from foreigners. And again, yes, it's there's a there's segments about this, and it's really unfortunate.
There's
history
people that don't want to use marijuana as the term for it. Right? They prefer cannabis sativa even, or cannabis indica, right? Because they're all separate things, right?
That's true.
They all do separate things to you. Realistically, it's hard to. I mean, I'm a big proponent of the whole, as somebody who could probably discuss this with me, is the whole lose the indica sativa hybrid thing, because I think it's being bastardized.
It
like
is,
I've never
no.
heard of anything
Oh,
before.
I would love to. Yeah, I can talk about this.
You know what I mean?
We should
Like,
really
it just
move away.
doesn't make any sense anymore. It's
Yeah.
like,
You should move away really from the term strains altogether. They should be chemo variants or chemical variants.
yeah, more based on terpenes and how that terpene and THC and CBD and all the other things react to each other. There should be a lot more research done into that type of thing, which they would do in a normal actual chemical, right? They would do research into it and understand why these different things help you. And
Do
why,
we know how
and
far?
one stops epilepsy and one doesn't.
Exactly.
Right?
Do we know how far they can go into testing at this point? Like can they do like testing on like people and everything, like in any states?
They've been upping at least the amount allowed to be grown this year, right?
Sure.
Along with the psychedelic stuff, they're upping everything and
Yeah.
A
growing
lot
all
of
that
states
stuff,
are
right? Yeah.
decriminalizing those things, and so it's probably going to be just like a lot of change. It's just this slow, steady, incremental time after time. And then I guess the one thing, to not get too up on the soap pedestal, is that if you want change, fortunately, you end up having to go. You have to go to the ballot box. You have to go to the ballot box. Find politicians who do support these initiatives, who are cannabis friendly. Like that's how we get change. Come on. I'm getting down to my soapbox.
I agree.
Good sport.
What was
Man, I'll tell you,
what combo did you
I don't
make?
think this is a bad idea. Cream soda, cigars, and s'mores. Midnight bars.
Thank you. Have you pulled it out of the garage and
It's a
everything?
good idea. Yeah,
Use
It all
it.
pairs well.
By all means,
Perfect.
use it, please.
it works perfect.
Oh yeah, you found the sweet spot too, like right where you were, right where
I
you were.
think I
hitting,
burnt.
like,
I think I burnt the top there, touching it a little
Oh, that's
bit.
an easy clean. That's an
But
easy clean.
I think a little bit of elbow grease
Yeah,
were
okay,
fine,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think it was worth it. I finished mine like twice as fast as you guys did, but then you guys actually devoured yours twice as fast as I did.
It was really, really good.
It's super fire. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
great idea.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
good time. That's
and-
good time.
I mean, like I said, you got 15 flavors to choose from with strawberry and different flavored marshmallows.
Oh yeah.
It's not a.
People get to can book an absurd experience, and then after they go to the dispensary, they can do this whole setup at home and have some bars. You can use one of my devices while you're cooking your mallows, and then you get to use kicking the mallows, man. And then so
Yeah, it's
it would
a
be.
little
I think
electric
this
thing. Yes.
this is a match made in heaven. So anybody out there, if you're thinking about booking an absurd experience, go to Cannamazoo and pick up some Midnight Roots bars and some marshmallows, and one will have a grand old time. So.
Yeah, midnightbars.com is where they can go kind of get some more information. Midnightroots.com, Instagram, Facebook, Midnight Roots.
Perfect.
You know, we're in 300 shops around Michigan right now, so the Midnight Bars are all over the place. The Magars are all over as well. So you can find them at pretty much any shop that's worth shopping at.
You can find it out at Cannamazoo.
Yeah.
Go check them out.
Yeah,
24/7.
Yep.
Open 24/7.
Yeah, they're big supporters, and they've always been big supporters. Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Once you go to those places, go to absurdexperience.com, give me a booking, or give me a follow at Absurd Experience on Instagram and Facebook. So I
Let's
think,
take it back here.
yeah.
I'm gonna take the damn s'more over here.
Of course. want to say it was really nice meeting you, Jake, tonight. It was really great stories, great conversation, great cigars. This was a really unique experience for me, and again, I'm sure it's all about the experiences. So you really opened up to my palate to something I'm going to be looking forward to trying more and more in the future.
Yeah, JohnCarlosMagars.com, and you can hit us up. We do sell shells, so you can, like I said, buy your own shells and pack them yourself with your own little stick.
Yeah. No, that's what's really piqued my curiosity. So thank you.
So, actually, I have a question for you, man. As such an experienced guy in growing and cultivating altogether, being a Cannabis Cup winner and everything like that, what are some of your favorite strains? What do you actually like really look out for?
Taste.
Taste?
I mean, I've been, entering and judging Cannabis Cups since 2014, so I'm pretty fingerprinted on the terpenes, and then knowledge of the grower, right, is usually where I go. Some of my favorite strains that I'm smoking right now, without just plugging my own strains, because I do smoke a lot of my own stuff.
Makes sense.
My favorite strain of all time, I guess, Holy Grail Kush by DNA Genetics. And people laugh at me, whatever, but we have a phenotype that my dad found that's horrible to grow. It's the smallest yielding, tiniest plant you've ever seen. And it's just like the Skittles. If anybody knows the Skittles plant and grows the actual Skittles, it's tiny and feeble, and it's hard to grow, and it's shitty, but the buds are really tiny. Instead of getting like 8 ounces of plant, you'll get a quarter. You're like, what? Or, an ounce or two, but it's not even, it's about a fifth of what you normally get. Yeah. And this plant, just this phenotype that we call the OG Fumbles cut, which is my dad's cut, is the best plant that I've ever smoked, right? Honestly, wow. I've said it a couple times. It just has like...
Is it a labor of love?
It has the most balanced flavor of any profile that I've seen. I describe it as like the Mario of flavors, or the Cannamazoo of flavors. He's not too over here, not too over here. I'm just like getting the easy balance. He doesn't jump too high or can't go too fast. But it's like a chai tea latte Kush. So it has this chai tea flavor. Okay. It's not too like lemony, not too gassy, not too anything. It's just super balanced, and the creative high that comes from it is not too high. It's not too low. It's just like
doesn't take you away.
The Goldilocks one that I want.
Beautiful,
but,
yeah.
I made some crosses with it. The Midnight Rider is the cross that I made. Here's that the sticker with it. I'm pretty much smoking on like Sunshine Kush, Sunshine, which is basically Sunshine 4, Sunshine 3. Whoever you talk to, they're gonna say it's a different cut. I don't know if you know the story behind that, but there's a whole thing around it. But it's Bodhi seeds, basically Sunshine 3.
Well, and see, like, I'm fairly new to the industry, but I'm getting to know people around it. And it's funny, the actual lure around, like, all the different strains and all the different growers and kind of the connections in between all of everybody and everything like that. It's really interesting to see how it plays out between everybody. So, yeah.
Phenotyping and pheno hunting is like the secret of any real breeder, any real grower. So finding those phenotypes that you like, and then focusing on those and winding them down. That's kind of why you got to know your breeder, your grower. You got to know what he likes, right? I mean, if you're going to want to, drink wine, and you walk up to drink wine, and this guy goes, "Here's some wine," and it's just like this port or something. You're like, "What the hell is this?" And you think that's wine. It's not wine. There's Chardonnay and Zinfandels and everything else. There's millions of variations. And that's kind of like weed. So right now, I've always been a gas head. So I always go for like OG Kush, Chem Dog, Chem 4 flavors. Very OG 18, Holy Grail, along those lines, which is like a sour OG Kush.
Oh yeah, kind of like bites and everything like that.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
I do like the fucking. I hate to say it, but I like the gelato type of flavors. That like Blue Moon ice cream. That kind of like. Smooth sweeter. Ice cream, like ice cream cake type of things. I've been
trying to remember what terpene is that. Like, blanking on it right now. But yeah, you know,
Yeah, it's
teach their
it's
own.
like ice creamy,
Mhm.
smooth, like kind of like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
interesting. Like cookies and cream has it.
Nice.
Right, it's kind of like that variation, and
Yep, there's a cookies and chem that we have at Cannamazoo that's really interesting. Has like a really kind of weird, kind of more chemically gassy note around this really nice creamy center and everything. Really interesting little bud right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to mention. So, this is amazing because
You notice it does go out, right? So
It will go out.
Yeah.
No, and that's nice. But I feel like I smoked that really down nice, pretty tight, and I never felt like I was like never got that burn that I would typically get with a sort of like, don't want to name any particular brands, but I'll say a gas station cigar. Yeah, no, that was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Much
yeah, well, there's
That
no
was-
tobacco in this.
Exactly, and so, but,
Zero tobacco. It's all 100% hemp, right? So
Mhm. It's going to be so much healthier for people to smoke. I think there still needs to be more long-term studies about the use of cannabis and what it may potentially lead to, but we do know the long-term effects of tobacco use and COPD, and so to have something like this is just really phenomenal, because I know in my past I've used tobacco, and sometimes you have a craving for it, but this totally takes care of that urge and without having to dip back into it. So that's amazing.
I've heard an urban myth. Do you think you can answer my urban myth question?
Potentially, it depends on
Somebody
the
we were
myth.
having, somebody was telling me one time that they said that THC eats itself off of your lungs and doesn't cake up as much as tobacco. And I was like, I don't know. And I heard we argue about it. I've heard it a couple times, and I don't know. Do they have people that smoke, like, let's say you smoked a cigar a day? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
would it slow off? Because I swim and I bike and I have super large lung capacity. You know what I mean? Just like but I can't judge me.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
anecdotally, it's very similar. I can't say that I have ever noticed any interruption with cannabis use in my athletic performance. There will be times where I can definitely be like, no, I'm gonna get a little high, and then I'm gonna go for a run, and it's not like I'm all of a sudden dying. So there's something to be
Doesn't
said for that. I
Can
think,
you be prescribed it for asthma? I've heard of people being prescribed marijuana for asthma.
Like smoking marijuana, or like
Like there's
like
cannabis. Their
Right,
cannabis
they-
card says asthma on it, and
But I
they
would be
say that it
curious-
opens up the bronchial airways when they smoke it, and reduces inflammation and
yeah.
allows you to breathe easier when he has an asthma attack. I know
would
somebody who
be-
says they have it, and I'm
No,
asking because I don't
that's-
know.
I would-
I'm
the
just
only
speculative,
reason-
dude. I don't know nothing.
the only
How does he
behind
partake?
that-
How does he partake?
If it was
He
vape,
smokes-
if you're, I mean, a vaporizer, I feel like, or if it's something that's going to not be as hot, will make sense.
He
But
smokes joints, so
I
I don't
mean-
know.
to each their own. I feel hesitant of making any firm recommendations because you never know who wants to come for my license. But
I didn't know
but
if
no,
it was
I
allowed
will
to
say-
be
I
prescribed
will
for
say-
asthma. That was the question that I had.
I don't know if asthma right
like
now is one of the qualifying conditions for Michigan. I
Yeah,
don't
these
know
are
if
my
it is.
doctor questions.
I don't believe asthma is one of the qualifying conditions.
I get
Put them
ready.
on the spot.
No, it's all
like-
good. I do not believe it is one of the qualifying conditions. What I will say is I do have some friends who are respiratory therapists, and they have said that they definitely see the generation that grew up on smoking, tobacco, and cigarettes as commonplace, and the long-term like COPD that they're still dealing with this generation. And she did mention that it would be, the one comment she said, it would be interesting to see with our culture in cannabis what will be happening 30, 40 years from now. And we just don't have the studies to say what it is. I look anecdotally at myself, people like you, Jake. I look at anecdotally people like Snoop Dogg, Willie Nelson,
gonna
Tommy
judge
Chong,
Snoop Dogg as our-
Cheech Marin. I mean, like, all of these people seemingly, especially these musicians, use their lungs for their career and have to be athletic to a certain degree, because if you're on stage,
Singing is
it's
hard.
hot and it's sweaty, and you're going to be moving around to a certain amount of degree, and you're still singing. So your performance, as a performer, you're still an athlete to a certain parallel, and they do it okay. And I don't really hear too many complaints about people going to Willie Nelson concerts and being like, oh yeah, he hacked up a lung halfway, through the song. Like,
I've met a couple of
you're
artists
halfway through,
that
you're always on
smoke
my
weed.
mind.
It's just a few.
But that's.
But it is hard
that's
to
my
smoke weed and be a
opinion.
singer right
Willie
before they
Nelson's
go
actually running
I'll
a
tell you
mile
that.
every day off camera, man. He's actually a fitness guru off the take, man. Yeah.
on. He uses
Are you
performance-
rustling my
Didn't know
jimmies?
that.
Are you serious? Or are you just feeding me a line?
No, see,
I can see that.
He uses performance-enhancing marijuana.
That's-
He uses performance-enhancing marijuana. I use performance-enhancing marijuana as we speak right here.
Exactly.
It's slow. Don't even get into a match with me right now. I'm beat the Olympic rules. Would throw me out right now. You can't run against her.
That's the
Oh my god! I feel I am
Why?
such a terrible person right now for not mentioning that athlete's name, and I'm drawing a blank. And anybody can chastise me online right now.
You've
for
got
not-
an advantage right now.
Right.
Like
Oh,
I
you
do.
can?
I always say
Wait, you smoked cannabis
So
instead of
I do?
drinking?
I got a question for you. So you said that you used to wrestle and fight. Like, did you do like anything like semi-professionally or anything? And if you did you actually smoke before?
Well, I did a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and smoked a lot. And then
Yeah.
smoking marijuana is actually a large part of Brazilian jiu-jitsu culture.
Yeah.
There's a lot of BJJ.
for
Now,
sure.
when I wrestled and did martial arts in high school, no. Like I was like on this like mindset of like kind of like born on the 4th of July type of thing, where I wanted to go into the army, and I thought it was the way to do it. My grandpa was a government teacher, and I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And then I blew my knee out wrestling at U of M Wrestling College, and that literally once I did that, you can't really do what I wanted to do. You go, everything else like kind of blew out of the way. So it kind of changed the whole direction of my life. And then I kind of, like I said, accepted marijuana into it. And obviously I had some legacy genetic history with marijuana, and it just kind of came through me. When I started growing marijuana, it just was super easy.
Did you
Just
go
came
straight?
right
Did you go
into the
straight
thoughtful.
into just growing weed like right out the gate after you blew your knee out? Accepted it kind of as like
No,
a
I didn't
part
start
of your
growing
life?
weed until it was like a couple of years before it was legal, maybe,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
I was getting ready for legalization, but I didn't really like do like 72 plants or anything like that.
Right.
You know, but I mean, there was a lot of people, and I'm not, but I know a lot of places that were, but Iowa didn't go that. Once it started going legal, like caregiver wise, and it was like allowed for me to have a grow room, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try that a little bit.
It's worked out.
And
It's
it just
worked out.
like you commune with a plant. It's like that. Like anybody can grow a dog in a room, right? Anybody can grow a dog, right? And that's how I look at
I
it.
mean the
You
dog,
can grow a
the
right?
dog bush, right?
You can have a dog, and you
plentiful
can
ones.
feed it ribeye even every fucking day. You can pay a lot of money to that dog. You can throw a bunch of pillows into the room with that dog, right?
I mean, no,
And
that's
it will be a dog. But do you want to go in and pet that dog after a couple of years? Probably not. But so you can grow a plant, and anybody can grow a weed, and it is literally called weed because it grows everywhere. I mean, it grows everywhere.
Are you saying it's easy to grow,
It's
but for
super
to
easy.
grow it well, there's an art?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a million ways to skin a cat, and there's a million ways to grow weed.
Like
right?
everybody can doodle. Like if they really tried, everybody can do it all. But not everybody is going to paint a a Monet or a.
System
Or they're not going to
Jack.
be the next Duchamp.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
we're getting too heady here. I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
for sure. Not everybody is. Like you said, Monet. It's or not everybody can build a Testarossa. Not everybody wants to. No, a lot of people just want to grow weed to extract it into rosin. Some people want to grow it so they can make medical butter and make cookies out of it and make chocolate bars. Some people don't even care because they can't taste weed very well, and they don't understand the sommelier qualities of, getting the
Yes.
terpenes and stuff like that. So there's a million ways to grow weed, and I just, because of my genetics and everybody who around me, you know, I really, and what I do, I just wanted to grow the best weed I could. And I had an introduction to really good weed. And I had been smoking good weed most of my life. And there, you know, in the 90s, it was BC, Kine Buds, and it was, you know, I was following the good weed throughout my life. And so as soon as I was able to grow it, I knew what it was supposed to be like. And once I could finally do it, I was like, yeah, I can make this weed better than the stuff that I'm paying $60 an eighth for. Yep. Right? Back in the 90s, shit was super expensive, right?
Yeah.
It was really expensive to get good weed back then. I mean, it was no joke, and it was really hard to find, and the people that had it really sat on it. I paid $80 for an eighth of weed back in like 97 or something like
now
that.
I have to
one
ask.
time,
now
you know?
that's because you wanted
The
premium
best,
weed,
like,
though.
the
It's
best.
because
Like,
I have to
there's a
imagine it,
difference.
like you could still have found weed, like, but it would have been shitty weed.
You can find mids and you can find reds. You know, there's a big difference between mids and the high grade, really sticky, icky weed that gets you high. You don't have to smoke for, you know, I mean, he throws out tested. Of course, nobody tested the weed back then. And
What do you think it was, if you had to guess?
a lot of the people I knew grew this stuff, or I knew most of the people that would grow it. So you knew the people that were growing it. Of course, they were growing it outside most of the time, or inside under like lights that they stole from a parking lot that they ripped off and stuff like that. Some big halogen lights or something, or they ripped off the
in
side
a
of the
closet
bar.
where the top quarter was all burnt, and it's just like, I didn't raise the light fast enough, and it's like, oh no
People
shit.
that- you know, there were people from California that were kind of a little bit ahead of, you know, Michigan, and there were people that knew what they were doing and stuff like that. That kind of would bring in good weed and kind of have it, and you could find those people. You just had to kind of know where to look. Right?
I remember the very first strain that of like chronic that came around was Sensi Star, and everybody was on Sensi Star super hard right around like, you know, my freshman year of high school, man. Everybody was like on Sensi Star super hard.
Yeah, it was like Super Silver Haze, and there's a Northern Lights, and there's a White Widow or something, right? Or an Afghani or a Colombian Gold, and they were the real deal. Yet somebody would find in a bag seat somewhere or something and grow it in their closet, and it was amazing stuff, you know. But there's only a few people can do it. I mean, there's only a few people that can do it right now. You know, I mean, that's the big joke. You know, I mean, right now I'm in I mean, the big people, they can pay $500 million for the biggest state-of-the-art thing in the world, and you can grow chickens on a line and grow it for KFC, but are those chickens really going to be the stuff that you're entering cannabis cups with it? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even though they want those plants to be the best and the best, it's just, there has to be some sort of interaction, there has to be some sort of love, there has to be some sort of special quality that makes, I don't even know how to describe it. That's when we get into the more understanding the plant and who grows it and, you know, that stuff.
You're saying that corporate greed can sometimes blind the innovation or the passion that can lead to innovation with the plant, because it's just, we can make a bunch of these, as you said, chickens. We just throw out a bunch of, can make 100 chickens, and we know we can turn that profit, as opposed to saying,
you know exactly how much to feed that chicken to make it grow perfect size.
Right.
You had scientists tell you exactly how big that chicken should be.
Are you saying that will blind people to saying, oh, wait a minute, maybe there is a better way? Maybe we should try to take 100 of these. Let's take 10 of them and see if we try something different, we can make it a little bit better. Are you saying that sometimes that greed is blinding a lot of people in the game right now? That greed can sometimes blinding them to the innovation that could be happening right now?
I look at it like this, okay? It's hard to describe and pinpoint what it is that would make good weed. It's hard to pinpoint what doesn't make good weed, right? To go look at it the other way too. And I also look at it more like I said, anybody can grow a dog. Any robot can make a song. Any AI can go out and you can tell a computer to write a song for you right now. There's songs and programs that will write songs for you. Is that song better than a Bob Dylan song? Is that song better than a Led Zeppelin song or a Pink Floyd song? Of course not. There's something called soul that goes into things, and that's like the untouched thing that goes into a plant. Like if you're trying to just make widgets, you'll make widgets.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something, if every song has to be given some sort of passion, and it's really it's hard to pinpoint and touch.
I think
you can really find it when you find a grower that has that passion. And I'm not saying the biggest corporate growers can't hire the best grower and team up and do it, because I've seen it happen, and it does happen all over. There's many states that do have really good growers, and they've hired the best people, and they're starting to learn that legacy growers understand the plant better, and it's, and they're starting to now learn how to do more numbers and stuff, which is a big deal. A lot of legacy growers weren't good businessmen. And they didn't know how to properly manage their time, and there was a lot of PTSD too that a lot of people don't really talk about.
But from
I
the
mean,
war on drugs.
being like persecuted and stuff, even like coming on a podcast like this and talking like that is a huge deal. There could be some Fed watching and writing down everything I say right now. Oh wow, his dad did this, he's about to do this, and putting into an algorithm to see what I'm going to grow next year or something like that.
I think George Orwell wrote a novel about this.
Well, it's happening right now.
Okay.
There is an algorithm out there.
You should ask that FBI guy. Who what are you gonna grow?
No, I know what I'm going to grow.
Thanks.
I kind of, that's the fun part about pheno hunting too. That's the fun part about, like, I have people I know that like dogs, or let's use anything, music and stuff. Like, how do you become a great record producer, or choose the right song, or choose the right flavor, right? There is just something about it, and you can go, oh, this tastes just like Blue Moon ice cream, or this one tastes like let's say GMO or something. It tastes like diapers and garbage, right? But you hated it the first time you smoked it, but after a while you're like, this is the greatest grandpa's day diaper shit I've ever smoked. Or kerosene. People use the weirdest terpenes to describe things, like, you know what I mean? Like, this one tastes like lemon pat piss, or this one tastes like fish. But it's amazing, so you can't just say it's going to be orange, because orange is really fucking boring, right? There's a million oranges, right? There's dusty orange, like Agent Orange or my Agent 18. There's bright orange lemon. There's orange things. There's so many parts, like a musical painting and stuff. So it's really about finding that painting and painting it right. And the breeders are the ones that can understand that and paint the picture right. And there's a lot of other people that are like plugging it into a computer, going, what will be the next best flavor? And the computer's like, based upon what Jake said, it's probably going to be blueberry gas. And you're like, shit.
Write it down,
that's
folks.
What I was gonna do.
Write it down. It's going to be blueberry gas.
You're like, but it doesn't matter, because when you crack 1,000 seeds, it's finding that flavor and sitting down and smoking it with that salmonier and sitting down and going, I got the blueberry gas. And the robot can't sit there and go, perfect blueberry gas.
Right.
This is exactly what I was looking for. Mark it up. You got to have somebody in there.
That's a very valid.
It's an interesting topic. You get it all the time. I mean, how do you find cup-winning weed? This is a question everybody wants to ask. Every cannabis grower, every consultant is going to ask you right off the bat.
Oh, what's going
to how do I make the best chocolate bar? And you're just like,
trial and error?
You can go on YouTube and find out how to make chocolate. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. And you know what I mean? It's not that hard to do, and you can do it. It's really about finding a perfect flavor that you like and doing it and making it and putting the right things together and the right materials and the right quality product. There's Hershey's has got an entire city.
Shit, man. You got the Hershey Kisses spot. Yeah.
That's a very valid point.
But you just gotta love it. You gotta love it, really, and that's where it comes. You gotta have that soul.
All right, so when you go to name a new strain that you've come out with and everything like that, do you just look back on the lineage and kind of use the lineage as the inspiration for the strain name and everything?
That's a question right there. I don't know. Most of my strains have been named after, Sunshine Kush. Yeah, it's my OG Kush crossed by my Sunshine. Yep. Pretty fucking obvious.
Yep.
So what are you going to say? But like I have the Howlin' Diablo, that's named after a band I used to play in called the Howlin' Diablos for a long time. Tribute, right? The Midnight Rider was after my dad, because it's the OG Fumbles cut of the Holy Grail crossed with the OG 18, crossed with the Fire OG to kind of really bring that out. So I was trying to do a tribute strain for him.
Sure.
You know, obviously the 5-leaf clover, clever little name.
Yeah,
I like
Little
that.
dude I made, so you know, just
These
it's
are-
kind
yeah.
of random. You gotta find that inspiration, like making a
Love
song
it.
or something, right?
Yes.
You know.
Also 4 feet.
Yeah, my 4K, my sister passed of cancer about 2018, and I made a strain in complete, you know, dedication to her called 4K. It was a Chem 4 crossed by the Fire 18, and she was a big fan of that. And that Chem 4 gave her a lot of relief for cancer. So we found that strain does give a lot of relief for, you know, tumor slowage and
Yeah.
you know, and anxiety and sleep
And do you know
nausea.
Do you know the chemical profile of that? one?
I should
Tiny?
get that.
I would be curious. I would just be
I
really. I would be
haven't.
really curious to know what its breakdown would be as somebody who wants to continue to learn more and more
Find the
about
exact
those
strain.
about terpenes and
So
what
that the,
is going to be more beneficial for people.
Computer will make that strain in the lab someday.
No.
And we can put it in pills.
And no,
you know, maybe.
more so. Like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm dealing with this issue. What you know
I know,
chemical
I'm just
variant
kidding.
would you
I'm
like to
just
pick?" You know, that's more what it is. I
I
continue. I still
the
want to help
research.
people.
Yeah, I can support the research on
Right.
marijuana forever. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I know you're just razzling me.
No, the Chem 4 was the thing that really helped her nausea. So even in like my catfish strain, it's a big nausea one. It really helps eating, and some of my other ones don't at all. Agent 18 is not good for nausea, right? I mean, it's not good if you want to sleep, right? You know, there's other, you know, how many terpenes there are in these plants. So when you find something that was really good for basically panic attacks for a cancer patient who was 35, she had, you know, couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The chemotherapy was hurting a lot of the eating and stuff. So all those things were things that she was looking for. It's not a miracle plant that's going to stop any cancer from doing what it was meant to do, you know, but it will help take the edge off in the later years.
Yeah.
The best way to put it. So
that's what we do.
we tried a lot of weed, and she even did suppositories, and you know, up to eating distillate and RSO, and she had beat it once, and then it just came back and metastasized. So it's just what it is. You just can't do what you can't do. So.
Yeah.
But that 4K was a tribute, and like I said, one for my dad. So
That's awesome.
it's been a rough couple of years.
But you know, it sounds you know that you've come out through it on the other end, and you've done loving tributes for those people that you've cared about, and I think that's all that we can sometimes do is just remember the people that we love and do something that we think is meaningful to remember them by, and I think you've done that. That's beautiful. In my book.
I would love to have a strain grown for
Yeah.
me after I pass. I can tell you that much.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm not too much. I don't really care what my
Call it
legacy
Dr.
is,
Deck.
but somebody, the Dr. D route. Yeah, I can dig. No, that's
If you had a
beautiful.
special strain, you know, you got to find your strain, right? That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
best way to do it.
Oh yeah.
Find your strain.
Well,
Like you said, what's my favorite strain? I like that gas, that chai tea latte, that kind of really balanced strain.
And my favorite, the most memorable strain I ever smoked. I only smoked it one time at a friend's house in a joint, and it was LA Confidential. And like it stood out so much in my mind how like perfumey it was, what it looked like, and it was just like I smoked it one time, and I still remember it to this day. And it's like, you know, that's how you know magnificent it was to me and how much it stood out.
Well, if you can remember it, that's what my dad used to say. That's actually a great thing you just said, because my dad used to say how to tell a good cannabis cup strain would be if it was memorable.
Yeah, dude.
That's perfect. I completely forgot that. It hit me right when you said that.
Yeah, man.
Because I mean, really, you got to remember it. You got to sometimes like that.
Exactly.
It was like that strain. That oh shit.
Exactly.
I remember that.
yeah, but that's the most memorable strain I ever had right there. Oh
You know, someday maybe you'll find it.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Find it.
Well, cheers. Let's get everyone's socials one more time before we start wrapping this bad boy up. We'll start with Dr. Dave one more time.
Hey everybody, yes, give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Absurd Experience, and give me a booking at absurdexperience.com. Thank you so much again, Cannamazoo Cannamazoo Smokers Lounge. It's been awesome as always. Declan and Jake, very nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys. MidnightRoots.com, MidnightBars.com, JohnCarlosMagars.com, pretty much straight up. Instagram, Midnight Roots, Midnight Roots Genetics, Midnight Roots Edibles, you know. John Carlos Magars, all the same on Facebook. I appreciate you guys having me out, and it was nice meeting you guys.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, Jake, Dave, thanks for coming out, guys, and we are done here. Take care. Thanks for watching.